On today's episode, we're gonna cook traditional Swedish meatballs. And not just any recipe, we're going old school here. We're using a recipe from 1967. And just before we get started cooking, if you want to see more Swedish recipes from me, consider subscribing. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And just first, what is a Swedish meatball and where did it came from? Well, the first use of meatball here in Sweden is from Kajsa Warg's cookbook, Cooking for Housewives, from 1755. Before that, you called it fricadelles. And their history from the meatball is pretty unclear. There's recordings of Richard II, who was a duke in Normandy in France, from the 1000s. And also recordings in cookbooks from Baghdad, but with other spices. And when cooking a meatball for a Swede, it's kind of mission impossible. Even if you put your soul and love into it, someone will say, no, my mother does it this way, or my grandmother does it this way. So with that disclaimer, this is my version for the Vetmans recipe. And I'm using a blend of 50-50 beef and pork. And one thing that is very important here, use a wooden spoon. I'll show you why later. And fry onions before, with butter, of course. And here is cream with breadcrumbs. And let them stand for 1 hour in room temperature so they really cooperate. And when it comes to spices, we use pretty basic Swedish spices here. We use salt, white pepper, and allspice. And that's pretty much the ground pillars of Swedish Husmanskost. And a touch of nutmeg. That we of course grind fresh. And in Sweden here, it's tradition to eat meatballs on Christmas, and then you add some extra clove. If you don't add extra clove, it's more everyday dinner meatballs. And it's time to incorporate everything together. And add the breadcrumbs and the cream, and also the fried onion. And also 1 whole egg. Here you can see everything is together, and it's really time to get this thing together. And at first we're going for everything incorporated. Then we're gonna add all the spices, and after that we're gonna work it really hard, almost until like a pate consistency. And that's a really common mistake making Swedish meatballs. If you don't work the meat enough, the meatballs will fall apart and the consistency will be very loose. We're going for kind of firm meatball here. And as I said before, always try to ground your own spices before you use it. It really adds extra flavor to all recipes you cook. And since the nutmeg has a really potent and strong smell, just use a touch here. What we're going for here is just a hint on the meatballs, not more, no less. Now it's really time to roll up your sleeves if you have some, and get working with the meat. And as I said before, it's really important here to use a wooden spoon, and this is why. Here I'm testing the consistency of the meat. Have I worked it enough, or need to work it some more? In this case, I need to work it a bit more. Now we can see everything goes off, and it's nothing left when you do that with a finger. Perfect. Time to get rolling. And here I'm using a metal plate with some water on. You can use this regular plate with some water on, and that will help it so it will not stick. There's many techniques how to roll a meatball, and for me this is the best version actually. Just use one hand and roll it in a circle, and that will create an even, soft, beautiful meatball. While you see me rolling away here, leave a like and comment down below what you want me to cook here next. And here's also another tip. Have a small bowl of water nearby so you can have your hands moist so the meatball will not stick to the hand. And finally, all meatballs are done. Add a bunch of butter to a cast iron pan. Regular pan works okay as well, but I prefer a cast iron pan. Add about, 5 to 6 meatballs. The first ones, you need to make sure you have the right temperature in the pan. It's about the same when you cook pancakes. The first one maybe will not turn out as great as the other ones. And important here to have high to medium high heat in the beginning, so you create a crust on the surface so the meatball will not fall apart. What you can also do is to baste them with some butter during cooking. This will help to create an even surface. And no, I'm not just showing off here, this is for a reason. This method helps the meatball to create an even surface and to rounding up the meatballs while cooking. And what can be a problem cooking a meatball is that the crust is good, but the inside is raw. So the smaller your meatballs you do, the more quicker the inside will cook. So what you can do if you want to be on the safe side is roll smaller meatballs to begin with, and then you can work your way up to big ones. Here we can see beautiful round meatball with a nice charred brown caramelized surface. And here we have them, our Swedish traditional meatballs. Golden brown, caramelized surface, crisp on the outside, soft in the middle. And I promise you, this will make any meatball lover happy, Swede or non-Swede. Combine this with beautiful potato mash, some Swedish lingonberry, a gravy, and maybe a pickled cucumber, and we're in heaven. And of course it's time for the taste test. For this I cooked a cream sauce and also serve it alongside with some lingonberries. The cream sauce adds some richness and the lingonberry adds some nice acidity that complements the meatball. As you can see, nice caramelized outside and also a compact but tender inside. You can really feel all the spices. The nutmeg, the allspice, white pepper, and it brings everything together with the lingonberry and the gravy. Once again, thank you so much for watching and consider subscribing if you want to see more videos.